This video intro is like nothing I've ever done before. We're outside in the pitch black using a light on my camera to shoot it. And what this video is about is people that have left their home country, they've moved abroad, they've enjoyed life in a foreign land, and then they come back and they find out that life is so different in the country they've come from. So yeah, whoa, what the hell was that? Welcome back to the YouTube channel, everybody. Don O'Loughlin from Don Shoots here. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. What are we talking about today? The 5 main differences I've noticed about life in Ireland versus life in Canada. Now, getting into it. Difference number 1, cash. 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 Yeah, it's different, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about the necessity for cash. In Vancouver, you can go about your day and do about 95% of your transactions using your card. You can do electronic transfers. You don't really need to walk around with cash that much. And anywhere you go that does require cash, you be sure that you're paying that bill, because cash-only businesses, anyway. But in Ireland, it's the complete opposite. You need cash. When we got off our flight from Canada and landed in Dublin, taxi driver didn't take card, so we gotta pull over, find a bank machine, use our Canadian credit cards to take euros out of an Irish bank. Anyway, it's annoying. But it's taught me that when you're going around your day to day, you do need a bit of cash. Whether you're going to the cafe, you're going to a restaurant, you're going to have a beer, there's still plenty of places that don't accept cards. So Ireland is getting better. A lot of places do take card, but for most days you probably want to have a bit of cash on you just in case. So yeah, that's the big difference number 1 about life in Ireland versus life in Canada, is you need a bit of cash. And then difference number 2, and I've actually put together a small montage for this one because it was a lot of fun making it. Difference number 2 is jaywalking. Everybody in Ireland jaywalks. People run out in front of cars, they cross the road when they know they shouldn't. They see a small gap and they go for it anyway. They literally take their lives in their own hands. And it happens absolutely everywhere all the time. The amount of jaywalking I've seen since I came home is phenomenal. People just cross the street in the middle of the day, the middle of a busy road, because they see an opportunity and they go for it. Maybe we're just a bit more opportunistic. I'm not really sure. Whereas in Canada, because in North America you have the turn right on a red light rule, a lot of people, they just abide by the rules of the road. They know that the red man says you got to stay where you are, and the white/green man, whatever you want to call it, that means you got to walk. But in Dublin, it happens absolutely everywhere. People are running out in front of cars, they're cycling across on their bikes. No one waits for the light. They just wait for a small gap in the traffic and they go for it. And sometimes it's kind of dangerous, it's a little tricky. But that's another big difference I've noticed here, is jaywalking. It's definitely alive and well. Next thing I wanted to talk about, and this is difference number 3 I've noticed since I've come home, and I've realized how much of a building nerd I am, but the architecture in Ireland is very different to the architecture you're going to find in somewhere like Vancouver. Vancouver is a very young city. Canada as a whole is a very young country. It was only founded 150 something years ago, and exploration to the west coast, like the Pacific coast where Vancouver is, it started a bit later, and development started there later. So it's a very young, vibrant part of the world. That being said, this results in a lot of new modern buildings. Everything has been built mainly in the last 50, 60, 70 years. So when you walk around Vancouver, it's very modern, it's very high tech. All the buildings are new, they're well insulated. You don't have to turn on the immersion whenever you want to have a shower. It's funny, a country that's covered in ice half the year doesn't have to rely on the immersion. But when you compare that to Ireland, which was built hundreds of years ago, and you walk around Dublin city centre and you can be in absolute awe of the buildings that you get to see. Georgian buildings built 200-300 years ago. Our good friends to the east of us, like, say what you want about the whole Ireland-England relationship, they've built a beautiful city here. The style of architecture is amazing. There's red brick absolutely everywhere. The doorways that are in front of these buildings, and there's an archway, and they all have these beautiful railings that are outside of the buildings. It's absolutely beautiful. I know a lot of people here in Dublin might take it for granted. It's like, oh yeah, sure, that's just town, you know, you go into town and everything, it's always there. But as an outsider looking in, as someone who's been away from Ireland for the last 10 years, you look at this architecture and it's absolutely amazing. Are they the warmest houses? No. Are they well heated and you don't have to rely on the immersion to get a hot shower? No. But they're beautiful to look at. So main difference number 3, I want to say, is definitely the architecture. Okay, big difference number 4 about living in Ireland versus living in Canada. And this one actually came as a bit of a shock to me, because it most likely will come as a bit of a shock to you as well. But that is the amount of space in Ireland. Canada is the second biggest country in the world. However, 90% of the population live within a 100-mile radius of the American border. But in Ireland, I almost feel like there's more space here, even though we're a tiny country. So let me show you what I'm talking about. And for this one, we're actually going to go outside. It's the Irish jig, yeah. Patagonia, really warm stuff. Yeah, definitely bought in Canada, I know. So aside from the fact that it's an absolutely horrible day out, which you get plenty of in Canada, and this audio could be really bad because it's very windy, we have this huge living space with a massive garden outside. I mean, it's a communal space, but there's just so much more space here. I was really surprised by this. You know, in Canada we'd always lived in small apartments, and the most outdoor space you might get is your balcony, and it's only a few feet by a few feet. But here we have this, like, check this out. I mean, it's almost like an entire forest in our backyard. You'd never get this in Vancouver. No one can afford to live on a ground like this. It would cost you millions and millions of money that you don't have. But now, back in Ireland, a teeny tiny country, standing in the pissing rain, and we've got all this amazing space. So yeah, I just was very surprised by the amount of extra space there is in Ireland versus Canada, which is the world's second biggest country. Oh man, that was a horrible day outside. See that little clean mask I did, the tree and the daffodil effect? I've been wanting to do that for so long. Hopefully it turned out okay. Anyway, moving on. Alright, this is the big one. This is the big one. Last but not least. No, we got to get in closer for this. We got to get in nice and close for this. Last but not least, difference number 5, and probably the biggest difference I've noticed about life in Ireland versus life in Canada. And it's kind of reminded me on some of the reasons that I left Ireland to begin with. But it's the processes. It's the small processes for the official things. I'll give you a crazy example, really crazy example. In Ireland, you get a PPS number. It's kind of like your social security number. It's like, they are a person of the state. They are legally allowed to be here. They can work. They're going to pay their taxes. Your PPS number is your identity. You need that to be a law-abiding citizen. If you don't have one, you're basically seen as a tourist, and if they want, they can get rid of you. But if you're an Irish citizen or a European citizen, you need to get a PPS number. We were trying to get a PPS number for our son. I thought I had all the paperwork needed. We got my birth certificate. We have my wife's birth certificate. We have our son's birth certificate. We have our passports, our proof of residency. We have as much information to say we are who we are, to keep it as official as possible. But when we got to the office, and I still don't understand this. There's probably a good reason, because somebody tried to cheat them out of money at one stage. But when we got to the PPS office, the one thing we were missing was our son's Canadian passport. And I'm like, oh my God, why is this needed? What's the reason you need my son's Canadian passport to get him a PPS number? You have all of our official documents. You have all this paperwork to say he is who he is. Why is that needed? But anyway, it reminds you of all the things you need to get past the processes. You want to get a credit card in Canada? You can literally walk into a supermarket and the supermarket will give you a credit card. In Ireland, you have to go into the bank, you have to have 6 months of transactions in your bank account. You also have to have a form from the Revenue Office to say that you've registered your taxes in Ireland, and only then will they accept your application, and there's no guarantee that they're going to give it to you. More processes, more paperwork. Anyway, you get the idea. But one thing I did notice about North America is that sometimes, it's more of a capitalist state. If you show up and you're there, you're real, you got your paperwork, and you're ready to do business, people will do business with you. Things move a lot quicker. So that's one thing I've noticed here, is that things move a lot slower. That's everything for me this week, folks. I hope you enjoyed my rant. Bit of information. If you're ever considering moving from one country to another, please do let me know. Leave it in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with what's happening around Dublin. And I will see you... Oh, hang on. Oh, yeah. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next episode. Bye.